Hello, everyone. I'm Ravi, CTO of Sentience, and we have Srikanth, co-founder of Sentience. Thanks for having us at Summit. I would really would have hoped if we all met face to face for the conference, and but yeah, here we are, and hope the world gets better soon. In today's talk, we'll be speaking about how Ignite helped Sentience Akiro scale. Let's start the summit. Yeah. So about us, we are Sentience, a Bangalore-based startup founded in 2016. Last 10 years, we have been building internet-scale platforms for various companies with petabytes scale of data and processing billions of records every hour. When we were building them, we have come across various scale problems and solved them to achieve high throughput and low latencies. So we saw this pattern across various businesses. So we thought, why not create a company which deals with high-scale platforms for businesses? That's how Sentience was formed. So while going through this journey, right, we have also contributed to various open source platforms like Hadoop, Yarn, Thales, MapReduce, Kafka, and so on. So as part of Sentience, we have various SaaS platforms, and one of that is Akiro, which we'll be talking about today. Yeah. So if you see, right, there were different generations of data explosion which happened, right? And the earlier one was because of 3G, and this generation is mainly because of IoT. So with IoT, right, it's not only data explosion which happened, but also exponential increase of devices being connected, right? So when we were actually checking out for platforms, IoT platforms in this particular use case, that is where we thought there are fundamental gaps on what a platform required, right? So that is where we wanted to show you some of the abstracts, right? Like, say, for example, protocol abstraction. So, with the wide range of devices and protocols they communicate with, it's very important that the platform takes care of all these protocols, not only the devices and sensors, it is also for the portable devices like Android device or iOS device, right? So it's very important that you take care of the Android messaging, which is FCM, and iOS messaging, which is APNS, right? So, and next thing is the platform device neutral, right? So with the wide range of devices starting from nano sensors to drones and also sensors in oil rigs, right? So is the platform ready to handle such kind of wide variety of devices? And also the data which it brings in, the variety of data it brings in. And next is the advanced telemetry and diagnostics, right? So not only gathering and collecting the data from the devices and giving simple analytics, right? So even it's very important that you have advanced telemetry and also diagnostics on devices, network connections, and which is very important for any operational system. So next is the scale. So if you see, right, scale is one of the very important aspect now because of the explosion of the device connections as well. So with all these things keeping in mind, we have built Akiro, right? Yeah. So Akiro is a intelligent connectivity platform which takes care of businesses' IoT needs in Industry 4.0 IoT and mobility use cases. So if you see, Akiro establishes a bidirectional communication with the devices, edge platforms, and the left-hand side, whatever devices we see, right? So all that. And not only that, it also takes care of device neutrality, advanced telemetry, and also it gives the businesses the ability to react to the events which are generated by your devices in real time, right? And Akira is one of the three MQTT brokers in the world which actually deal with more than 10 million device connections concurrently. So I think that is the scale what we are talking about, and it's largely attributed to Ignite. So let's see how exactly it happens. So before going to the high level architecture, so I would like to just give you a glimpse of how exactly Akiro SaaS would look like, what we are talking about. So the core of Akiro gives the flexibility to build various applications and its ecosystem around the world, right? So if you see, IoT demands are very huge, right? And a lot of use cases needs to be solved using the IoT platforms. So Akiro gives the users the ecosystem around which the people users can actually build the applications, right? So let's quickly see that. Yeah. So if we see Akiro SaaS, right? So we have different platforms, like different applications on Akiro SaaS. One is you can build a mobility app, which is mainly for logistics, delivery tracking, and so on. Or you can also build an MQTT app, which is more like a MQTT broker, where you can connect various devices to your platform and communicate. So let's just go through a quick peek of what it is. Like if you see the mobility app, right? So we give delivery history, live tracking, and also partner management for various field executives, right? Who actually deliver the orders. So this can be for courier companies, food deliveries, or e-commerce companies, right? And not only this, also we also care for analytics and flow management as well, right? Yeah. So yeah. So if you see, right, when you're actually dealing with IoT data and its wide variety of data streams which come in, it's very important that the consumers of this data actually have the flexibility of doing what they want with it. And if it gets even better if it is a self-serve platform. So if you see here, right, there are various flows which can be taken care with a no-code UI, and something like you get a location and you can do multiple things with that, including geofencing and so on, right? Quickly moving on. Similarly, we also have an MQTT app where you can send various, you can connect various devices directly, see the top stats and that, so on, and also send various sandbox messages to your devices using various QoS levels, and also add devices and so on, right? So coming back to the presentation, so this is the flexibility what Akiro gives the platforms, and also the scale. Yeah. So, if you see this high-level architecture, right, of Akiro, and where Ignite is at, so if you see the southbound devices, so you have all the devices which are there on the internet, right, like the portable devices, automobiles, smart homes, smart factories. It can be any set-up box or point-of-sale devices also. So they connect to the Akiro core, and that is where all the connection establishment happens. And if you see the north bound interfaces, so we have various consumers of the data, right? So these consumers actually consume the data. It can be in a machine form or human consumption. So machine consumption includes microservices, CRMs, data exports, and so on. The human consumption can be from mobile apps or web pages where you see dashboards, reporting, and so on, right? So if you see the core of the system, you have various services delivery services which take care of communication and messaging, and we have various services for security, dashboarding and reporting, and also complex event processing, where you can build your workflows around your data and check like what you want to do with the data at real time. And if you see on the right hand side, so you have the data pipelines, which actually take the load of the complete data which comes from the devices. So these platforms, these data platforms, actually give you analytics in real time, batch, and Lambda as well. And also they help you react to the data in real time and set up various alerting and monitoring on top of your device events. So if you see all this, right, the main thing which sits in between is the real-time relay and Ignite. So coming to the data, right? So we have two kinds of data, like two different natures of data. So one is operational or interpreted data, like it's like which device connects to which delivery server or such kind of information, which is intermittent and very volatile, right? And the second type of data is the metadata, right, which is very important, and it includes security keys, includes device information, user information, and so on. So for both the natures of data, we have been using Ignite, right? And in two different forms. So if you see for the intermittent and operational data, so we use Ignite as a cache here. For the persistent and metadata operations, we use Ignite as a SQL store, right? So these are some things Ignite has given us the flexibility, right? Where with the same store, you can actually use it for different natures of data. And when we were actually finalizing the architecture, we actually went through various different tools, various different data stores and caches as well. And after a rigorous exercise of 1 to 2 months of benchmarking and evaluating, we went ahead with Ignite. And I think um, I would say it is one of the best decisions we have taken in our architecture. And since 3 years, it's like it's been a cakewalk with Ignite, I would say. Yeah. Moving next, if you see, right, we want to, yeah, let's see how actually Akiro, how well Akiro can scale and how actually Ignite helped Akiro to go to those numbers. Yeah. So these are the main KPIs of the system, the scale KPIs, where we are talking about almost 10 million device connections in a concurrent basis, right? And also we're talking about 1 million message requests per second, right? And all this with a latencies of 20 milliseconds, right? So, and this is something it's a very high throughput for a IoT platform, right? And also, if you see, right, today Akiro is serving almost 3 million plus devices live today for various enterprises. So let's see how actually Ignite contributed to this scale. So first, we'll go through some of the aspects where we really felt Ignite was helpful and how exactly that converted into Akiro scale as well, right? So first is the Ignite speeds, right? Sorry, in-memory speeds. So if you see Ignite cache being largely in memory, and we actually using it for all the operational and interpreted data, right? So that actually gave us a very quick, very low latencies, because when you are actually dealing with a high throughput system where there's a huge flow of data, right? There's no way we can actually afford database lookups or any disk operations in that flows, right? Because latencies will be hit very badly, even if you do a single disk lookup or anything. So that is where we were actually using Ignite, and this is where our latencies are less than 30 milliseconds and end to end, right? So that is one thing. And next thing is the predictable latencies. So if you see, right, from the architecture, you would have seen that there are so many microservices which are interacting, and also each microservice is independently scalable. So each microservice has multiple instances of it, right? So it's very important that across the services and across these instances, the latencies of the data queries should be consistent. Else, what happens is you will have some fast-moving, faster components in your system and slower components, and the overall throughput of the system is generally determined by your slowest component, right? So luckily, by managing this and balancing it, and also taking care of replication and data distribution, we could maintain uniform latencies across different components of our system. And next is the SQL capabilities. So I think we have seen in other talks also, many people were saying this was one of the reasons why people chose Ignite, right? They chose to go ahead with Ignite. So it's the same for us as well, right? So our data consumption patterns are couldn't be solved by a simple key value lookup, right? And we wanted more filters and more joins to be happening on the data which we have. So that is where when we went and we checked that, okay, Ignite has this capability. We were really thrilled. And first we were actually skeptical when we were when we were thinking of it, using Ignite as a SQL store, right? So that is where we did some benchmarking, and we were really happy with the numbers. And in fact, it actually performed better than many of the stores, right? So that is something which we really love about Ignite. And next is the ease of configuration and performance tuning. So for after finalizing your architecture and going to the production, right? So that is where your performance tuning aspects come in, right? So that's a very important aspect of the system, and it can make or break the system. So here we really like the configurability of Ignite, and the way you can configure at a very low level, right? And also the metrics of Ignite, right? The metrics which it exposes. So it has really helped us get a very good picture of how the system is responding to our configuration changes. So that made our complete performance tuning very smooth, right? And we got flying numbers after the performance tuning as well. And last but not the least, the robust and low maintenance. So one thing is taking the system to production, right? And after that, on a long term, right? So it really matters how your maintenance of your system affects, and also for large enterprises, the maintainability and operability of the system is very crucial, because we're talking about huge scale numbers, and we're talking about availability of the systems as well, right? So that there actually Ignite helped us very well, and last 3 years it has been very low maintenance, and as low as we just automate runbooks, and there are very few people who actually monitor the system. And moving on, next is we just wanted to discuss on the specs we have used for Akiro, and for the after this tuning. So as we are talking, right, we had in Akiro, we have two different natures of data. One is the operational or interpreted data, and second is the metadata or the persistent data. So one thing we did is we separated out these two data and as two different regions, and this actually helped us tune these regions independently and configure them independently. And this also helped us setting the heap sizes and so on. So if you see even our memory profile, so we use 40% for heap and 40% for non-heap, and 20% we leave it for the. And apart from this, other configurations which were really important for us were one is the val write-ahead log settings, and next is the pool settings. So the write-ahead log settings, as our data is also very volatile, and there is a lot of write and read happening to that. So val settings was very critical for us, right? And here we were actually tuning val settings and seeing how is it actually affecting our latencies as well, right? So that is where we came up with a 1 GB number, and that really worked well for us. And moving on, next is the pool settings. So as I was telling, right, something we love and Ignite is the configurability, and this is the setting which I love the most, where you have so many pool settings. I think almost 6 pools you have, and you can tune and play around with your system according to your needs. So, say for example, you want to tune your SQL capabilities. So then you go for the cache pool. And if you want to, you go for the query pool. And if you want to tune your cache capabilities, that is where you go to the system pool. So that way, we had various tuning happening, and that gave us a very good performance. And as a recommendation, for most of the pools, we have kept the threads equal to the number of cores of the system, so that the context switching will be minimal. And for some of the pools, we actually changed it because that is how we wanted to tune the system. Yeah. Before moving on, I just wanted to show you a quick scale. So, a quick video on how quickly we are able to send messages, and how quickly Akio is able to dispatch 10 million messages, right? So we have 1 million devices connected to a small 2-node cluster. So we have received all the messages, and if you see, right, it's really, really quick, right? We are talking about almost maybe 25 seconds for 10 million messages being delivered, right? So this is the scale we are talking about with just a 2-node cluster, right? So if you see, right, this wouldn't have been possible without Ignite's cache performance. So coming back to the coming back to the presentation. So, last but not least, we wanted to cover on the challenges we faced, and what are the best practices we thought will actually help other people who actually use Ignite. Yeah. So, if you see, right, there are multiple challenges faced, and I think that's a part and parcel of the system, right? As you go, you learn about the system, and there are various challenges you solve with the system, right? And here, I wanted to, I'm just showing the main challenges which we faced, which we thought will be helpful for others as well. So one is the Ignite val corruption, right? The write-ahead log corruption. So this was a very prominent issue, and this actually affected us badly. So because what happened was because of operational issues and issues with some scripts, right? So there were multiple ungraceful shutdowns of Ignite nodes, and this, along with some more events which happened in the system, actually it has corrupted the write-ahead log, and it went to a point where we couldn't recover the write-ahead log, and luckily we had the data backups, so we could restore the backup and actually recreate the cluster. So this was something which was really important, and it was a very important learning for us. And going forward from then, we were very careful on ungracefully shutting down the Ignite clusters, or because there is a lot of val log which gets transferred between nodes as well. So when you do this ungraceful shutdown between the nodes, so that is where you might have problems, and that is what we have seen. So that's the reason we are very careful on how we shut down and start the systems, and we completely avoid anywhere, even by accidentally also shutting down Ignite ungracefully, right? So next is the Ignite backup. So if you see, right, every system which is production ready, you need to have the Ignite backup. And when we saw, there were some options, but not many options which we wanted, which which was suiting our requirements, right? So that is where we had to build our own Ignite backup solution and a full backup, and we also had some challenges building the incremental backup as well. So that is where we wanted to share it with the community also, that I think this is something which you need to plan ahead when you are actually starting up any system and you are actually using Ignite, right? So that is where you need to plan whether you want to use the existing systems which provide backup for Ignite, or you want to build it yourself, right? So because once you go to production, there's no way you can catch up with that speed with the backup, right? So that was the second one, and third is the Ignite file handler sync. So this is something where when you're using prepared statements in SQL, right? So there were termination. So the reason we have put this in this list is because uh, this is something which is hard to detect, and this was taking a long time to detect, right? So we thought this will be learning for people who are actually using this particular version of the client, and fortunately it was fixed in the later versions, and the upgrade actually fixed it. So, but this is something which you need to keep in mind when you're using the version of Ignite client. And the last one being the disk spills. So one thing is we have tuned our memory profile so that we were making sure most of the memory which is which needs to be readily accessible, most of it should be in memory, right? That way we were tuning the system. And there were places where it was actually overflowing, and there were disk spills as well, and that was adversely affecting our latencies. So that is where we were actually tuning the system and carefully profile the system as well, so that we know when it is spilling and so on. And that way, we actually avoided the disk spills, and this actually helped us have consistent latency even at peak times, because we have had that buffer and peak buffer and so on. So next item is the contribution to Ignite ecosystem. So uh, as I was talking, right, the Accuro scale, one of the major pillar is Ignite, right? I would say the second major pillar is Vertex. So Vertex is a Eclipse Foundation framework for creating reactive applications on Java. So this is based out of, it's similar to Node.js actually. So if you see, right, it uses a async paradigm, right? And the beauty of Vertex is you need not wait for IO events to happen and waste your CPU cycles waiting and coding for that IO events to happen, right? So Vertex takes care of it for you, right? So what it does is it actually notifies your system through callbacks when typical IO events happen, and that way you need not waste your CPU cycles. And this actually saved us a lot of resources as well. Like for example, just moving to Vertex from our previous system at least saved us 35 to 40% of the machine resources, right? So when it is so critical, your database and whatever IO you are using inside the system also is adhering to the same paradigm, right? So although Ignite has async APIs, there was some work which was required to make it a Vertex client and uh, make it work with Vertex. So we are in process of it, and once it is done, we intend to open source it to the Ignite ecosystem. And the last item for today, the best practices. So we thought we'll share some best practices from the experiences we had with Ignite. So one thing is, some of them we have already spoken partially in earlier slides. So one is the separation of data regions for nature of data. And this is really important, and that's the reason we are emphasizing on this. And first, we actually skipped this when we started using Ignite. We didn't know about that. But in middle, when we actually realized it and changed it, it really helped us. But it was not an easy change when we actually changed it after in middle of the usage, right? So that's the reason it's very important that you identify your data patterns, how you want to use your data, and based on that, you separate out your data regions and properly balance it, uh, partition it, and replicate it, right? So because as I was speaking earlier, data skews are really a very big problem in today's world. So moving on, next is the pool sizes of the system, right? So this is also something which most of them actually leave it for defaults, but we really suggest you actually tune it for your system and make sure it's the right size required for your system. Or you're actually, if you're not doing this, you're either over provisioning the system or under provisioning it. And third one is, it's a very important point, the right affinity key. So if you see, right, if this is also very important because this is also something which you need to identify in the start and make sure you set your right affinity key, right? So this actually helps you partition your data evenly and also distribute your data across different nodes and regions. Nodes, yeah. So otherwise, what happens is this is also very hard to change it once you are in production or you already started putting data into the current affinity keys. Because most of the time you end up recreating all the data using a new table or so on. And last one is the val disk separation. So as we know, write-ahead logs have two different paths, right? One is a path for its logs, and second one is a path for its archive. So even though they are in two different directories, so they generally they are in the same disk. So what we did is for better throughputs, we actually separated out these things into two different drives so that we optimize the usage of the drive writes and reads. So that actually helped us improve the performance very well. Yeah. So yeah, I think that concludes our talk, and hope our experiences and journey actually help you with some insights. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your talk, guys. While people are printing, maybe you can give some advice to the community members who are just considering using Ignite.
Sure. So I think I would want to share one interesting aspect, right? So when we actually pitch the platform for various customers, and when we are in the part of the technical due diligence, right? So that is where when we actually mention Ignite and when we say we are using Ignite, so that is when they are very happy. They're like, "Oh, you are using Ignite." Okay. Generally, they ask a lot of questions, but when we say, "Okay, it's when we start using Ignite," right? So that is where they pause the questions on the stores and caches. So I think that's the confidence which Ignite has gained in the society, and I think that really helped us as well.
By the way, we have one more question. We have still time for that. About choosing Ignite, can you please tell about a few comparisons? So with what did you compare Ignite? I believe it was in the talk, actually.
Yeah, so if I would name, actually one of the main contender was Redis. So we were actually checking it with Redis, and when we were actually checking Redis, it didn't have the SQL capabilities, and that was something which we really wanted. So what we were planning was if we went ahead with Redis, we would have used Redis plus another SQL store. Right? So that was something which we didn't want, and we wanted one system, and so that we have low maintenance.
Okay, so thank you very much.